Welcome to the Timesheet Technical Training video. The purpose of this video is to show ACMs how to complete and submit their timesheets accurately. This training is supplemental to the timesheet training that all City Year AmeriCorps members are required to attend. This training video will focus on the technical aspects of ACM timesheets. For more information on City Year's timesheet policy, please see the resources section at the end of this video. By the end of this video, ACMs will know how to start and submit their timesheets, how to recertify a timesheet that a manager corrected or submitted on your behalf, how to check your time off balance, and how to check your hours progress towards your required AmeriCorps hours. Lastly, we'll review some resources that you can use to help in completing your timesheets on time and accurately. City Year AmeriCorps members must complete timesheets on a bi-weekly basis. ACMs must complete timesheets that accurately reflect their hours of service, training, fundraising, and meals, as well as any allowed absences. ACM timesheets are completed in CY Resource. To log into CY Resource, ACMs can use the web address listed here or use the Okta mobile app. Once you've logged into Okta, you can access the application by clicking the CY Resource link. Once you've logged into CY Resource, this is what your homepage will look like. The upper right-hand corner of the homepage has icons for your notifications and a link to your inbox, where any pending tasks live. You can also see a snippet of your inbox on the left-hand side and can access your full inbox by clicking Go to Inbox. To start your timesheet, click on the Time Worklet under Applications here. For the purpose of this training, we'll be entering time for the previous week of service by clicking on Last Week. Once you've selected the week for the timesheet that you want to edit, it'll take you to the timesheet itself in CY Resource, which looks like this. You can see the date range for the week up here in the left-hand corner, as well as above every single day in these columns. This timesheet has already been started by the Corps member, with Monday and Tuesday filled out. We'll be completing the timesheet for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then submitting it for manager review and approval. There are a couple different ways to enter time into your timesheet. The first one that we'll be doing today is by clicking on the actual column of the day where we want to enter time. So for Wednesday, 4/21, we'll click into this column. It'll bring up this enter time box that pre-populates the time type to service. So if that's the correct time type, you would just enter your hours and then click OK. If not, we would click on the time type box, which opens up to time entry codes and time off. Time entry codes are all the codes you would do if you were actively in service. If not, you would do time off to put in an allowed absence. So in this case, we'll put in that we were training for 8 hours on Wednesday. And then as with any time that we are actively serving on a day, we also need to add in a meal break. So here we would open up the enter time box again, click on time type, and we could click on time entry codes and select meal break, or we can type in meal here and hit enter, which will automatically put it there. And so on this day, we took a 30-minute meal break, which translates to 0.5 in our system here. So that is one way that you can enter in time. You can do this on a daily basis as you do your hours, or at the end of the week, you can do time for the entire week. Another way to enter the time itself is to click on Actions here on the right-hand side, select Enter Time, and this will take us to a new web page where we can see Monday through Saturday, and it will have all the hours that we've already put in. And then on Thursday, you can see all the hours are blank because there's no hours currently there. So on Thursday, let's put in that we served for 5 hours. And then on this day, we actually went home early because we were feeling ill. So we'll hit select time off, allowed absence, and put in 4 hours since we missed half a day of service. Allowed absences are taken in 4 or 8 hour increments. And as you can see here, the 4 hours automatically change to 8. So that is something to keep in mind when you're doing it. So if we can then tab over to Friday, and let's say on this day we were also still out sick, so we'll go to time off, allowed absence, and we'll do 8 hours to show that we had a full day off. And then you click OK, and the time that we changed here will then populate into the timesheet itself. So now we can see that all this time has been entered. We can see here on the bottom it says not submitted. This indicates that this timesheet hasn't been submitted to our manager for approval. To do so, we would click the lower right-hand button where it says review. Click here, review the hours served, make sure that our absences looked right, and then click submit, which sends this to our manager to review and approve. And as you can see here, the text has changed from not submitted to submitted. Once a manager approves the timesheet, this text will change to approved. Let me show you last week. This time has all been entered, submitted by the ACM, and then sent to the manager, and the manager has approved it, which we can tell by this green check mark with the approved text next to it. If after submitting a timesheet you notice that something is incorrect and needs to be corrected, you can just navigate back to that timesheet, select the box here, and you're able to adjust the time. So let's say instead of 5 hours, we actually only served 4.5 hours. So we do 0.5. We click OK, and then you can see on the timesheet itself, it's changed this block to 4.5, but this time is now not submitted. So in order to send it back to our manager for approval, we click review again, and then submit again. Other things to note on your timesheet is that if the week has this time period end date on the end of it on Saturday, it means that your timesheet is due. And timesheets should be submitted by Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the following this time period end date. Timesheets can be edited up to 2 weeks after the time period end date. So say we needed to correct time for last week, even though it's already been submitted and approved by our manager, we can still go into this time, correct it, add a comment that said, left home early due to illness, and click OK. And similar to the other example that we showed, it'll come up as not submitted, so we'll need to review and submit this timesheet again for our manager to approve those 7 hours of service. And once they approve, this text will change to approved here. If, for any reason, your manager submits or corrects a timesheet on your behalf, you are still responsible for certifying those hours in CY Resource. Hours missing recertification are not counted towards your AmeriCorps hours requirement. The recertification process takes place entirely in CY Resource. ACMs can find the task for any manager submitted or corrected timesheets in their CY Resource inbox. This is what a timesheet recertification task looks like in a member's CY Resource inbox. The text here indicates that this is a recertification task. In this example, an ACM's manager corrected 1 day in the member's timesheet. This day's hours are what need recertification by the member. They should review the time corrected, and if accurate, click Approve to complete their timesheet. Once those hours are approved by the ACM, that timesheet is complete and those hours accrue. ACMs can check their time off balance or how many days off they have left through the time worklet in CY Resource. ACMs can click either My Time Off or Time Off Balance to see how many hours of allowed absences they have left. This is what their time off balance table looks like when you select it. Here we can see how many hours a member has taken under time off paid year to date, as well as how many hours they have left under ending period balance. If the ACM has any pending timesheets with allowed absences, that time is taken into account under the ending period balance, including pending events. Allowed absences are intended for members to use for any short-term illness, doctor's appointments, personal days, or any other reason a member may miss service that is not a compelling personal circumstance. Also under the time worklet, ACMs are able to check how many hours they have served so far in the year by clicking My Core Time to Date. Clicking this will bring you to a table that shows the ACM's AmeriCorps start date, which is the date that the ACM started accruing hours towards their AmeriCorps hours requirement. On this table, you can see the number of fundraising, service, and training hours earned. My Hours Served shows the total number of hours that have accrued towards the ACM's hours requirement. Only submitted and approved time will appear on this report, So any timesheets pending submission, manager approval, or ACM recertification are not counted in this table. City Year's timesheet policy can be found on CY Connect by searching Timekeeping Policy. And as a reminder, ACMs receive their stipend as well as their education award through AmeriCorps, which is federally funded. Timesheets are used to indicate that members are active in service and should receive their biweekly stipend, as well as to track progress towards hours requirements for the education award. Timesheets are federal documents, and falsifying a timesheet is a crime. Some other tips to keep in mind while filling out your timesheets are that they're due bi-weekly, but it's the best practice to submit timesheets on a weekly basis. As a reminder, timesheets are locked 2 weeks following the period end date, so please be sure to complete your timesheets on time and accurately. Timesheets cannot be submitted ahead of time, so please only record time after hours have been served. You should also add any comments to explain unusual activity, so if you have a shorter or longer day than scheduled. Be sure to record a meal break for every day of active service, and always reach out to your manager if you are unsure about your timesheet.